Welcome, Paul.
Awesome. So let's start. Welcome everyone to the BIM Manager journey. This is our fourth session already, and this is about mastering content management. This is my kind of topic, so I hope you liked it as much as I do. So yeah, today we're going to see the cost of no strategy from chaos to clarity. We're going to go over some tools for content management. Where do I begin part? So after we've seen all of this, okay, where should I start? And a quick recap of all we have seen before. So, but first, this is a thing we always do here in these sessions, but please use the chat if you have any comments. If you have questions, you can always use the chat. And your participation is very important. We are going to have some chat questions, so questions for you to answer. And the idea of this is to be a back and forward. So please participate and let me know what you think. So here are all of the instructors, and this is me. We already have Pia, Nico, Jime, and hi, I am Paula. I am a licensed architect. I have a master's in BIM management. Here at Atlantis, I am BIM lead. I love books. I love to read since I was a little girl. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I don't know if any of you guys are too, but please let me know if you are. This will be very fun to know. And I like to call myself an organization enthusiast because turning chaos into order is really my kind of fun. I don't know if I have more of my type of person in the chat. Um, but yeah, even since I was a little girl, I like to go into my friends' houses and organize all of their toys. So yeah, I am that kind of person. Um, I love mess. So, and I think mess, when we have mess, is where the fun begins. So hopefully you agree with me on that. And if not, I'm going to make sure you do by the end of this session. I have a fun fact here. I was talking with Nick the other week. I know Mercedes told this on her session, but when we first created like a specific BIM team here at Atlantis, we are all, as you know, BIM oriented because we use BIM in our everyday work. But we had a group of people that were specifically interested in BIM, and we like to call ourselves the maricondos of BIM. So this is where all of maricondo parts comes from. So yeah, and you will see the resemblance, I promise. So let's start. I am seeing that you're putting your Hogwarts houses in the chat. I love that. Thank you for that. I am a Ravenclaw, in case you're wondering. Yeah, let's start. The cost of no strategy. So this first part was think because I think content is a part of our everyday work and lives, but most of the times we leave it like as the last priority, like no one thinks about the strategy behind the content and how important it is. So this is the main goal for this part. So I have my first question here for you. So if you can input in the chat, what is content for you? So I'm talking a lot about content and content management, but what do you think content is? Information. Yeah, families, templates, details, families. I like the information response, Revit families, components. Yes, all that goes into a Revit model, 2D or 3D, templates, detail items, families, details, data, yes. Um, Typical information, everything related to the projects. Being families all the way to tutorials, I like that. Anything that helps produce the work, yeah, reliable information, families, system families, details, templates, anything that can be saved and used later on. I like that. Pau, share parameters. Yeah, I agree with all of this. and you're on the right track. Reusable things, yes. I have a list here of all. This is not all what content is. This is just a small portion of it, but are the most used ones, I think. So Revit families, details, templates, you already mentioned all of these. Standards, guidelines, learning videos, we have a lot of these here. Pamphlets, the BIM pure pamphlets are also pieces of content, checklists, presentations, dynamo scripts, all of these can be content and are content. So, and I like this GIF because I think of content, as I told before, like organization, Marie Kondo, all of that. I think of content like these folios of things that can be organized into specific parts. In our case of the digital world, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Content, I think, are all the reusable elements and resources that support modeling, documentation, and team coordination. So you were all on the right track. So I think reusable elements, I like that because these are things that we produce and then we can reuse a lot of times. And this is a beautiful part about having a strategy, because we do a thing once and then we can reuse it again and again. And there are all of the resources that support modeling, documentation, and team coordination. A lot of times we think of content only as Revit families or Revit details, and it is a lot of the things. But you already know that, so we're good. And I think above all, content is knowledge. And I really like this concept because every piece of content we create is a piece of information that someone put all of his knowledge into that. So I think all of the content we have is mostly knowledge. So what happens if content is knowledge? Then every untracked family, duplicated detail, outdated template is a piece of knowledge slipping through the cracks. And that's why we need a strategy. Yeah, a good Revit family has a lot of knowledge into it. I totally agree with that. A Revit family, a detail, it meant someone spent a lot of time creating that thing. So when we lose that thing, this is a lot of knowledge and information that is slipping through the cracks. And this is why the strategy is important. This is a rhetorical question to ask ourselves, but if you had to think, where does your content live? These are some of the answers I received. So I think it's in my desktop. We usually just recreate it for every project. I'm not sure. I just have to be manager. Wait, what do you mean by content? So this is how I feel when I hear all of these things, because these are very common. On a floppy disk in a drawer, yes. Totally. So I don't know if you guys heard all of this or you feel maybe represented by this. Yes. I see you're laughing, so I think you are. What happens without a content strategy? We have a lot of duplicated work. So teams are recreating content instead of reusing it. I have seen this a lot of times, but instead of, we already have, for example, I don't know, a sink family. I was thinking of another thing, but the word slipped from my mind. A sink family, let's say. And I need another sink family, but I don't know where there is. So I just redo it all over again. So this is duplicated work. Also, multiple versions of the same family or template exist. And this is a real problem, because when we do need to use a specific template or a specific family, we don't know which one is the latest one, the revised one, if it has been done, I don't know, a KQC to the content or not. So we are using whatever we find. And effort is repeated across projects. And this means that if you already did a project, all of the knowledge that you gain from that project is not going to be passed over to the next one. So this means a lot of wasted time. So wasted time searching for the right families or templates because we don't know where they are. A lot of wasted time fixing inconsistent or incorrect content. This is goes hand by hand with what I said before. So we have a content, we don't know where it came from. Maybe someone downloaded it from a manufacturer on the internet, and it has a lot of parameters, it weighs a lot. So I waste a lot of time fixing that content instead of only use it and go on with the project. And we're wasting time, delays in project setup and modeling because of all of this, right? We cannot have our time into the project, but searching for content, fixing content that is wrong, etc. And lastly, we have no standards. So we have families and templates that don't follow unified conventions. So I'm sure you have seen a lot of this, but a project looks very different to the one after that. So we don't have any conventions to follow. Quality and accuracy vary across projects. We have one standard for this one, and then another person takes on the next project and they start all over again and with different standards. And coordination issues between disciplines, because when we don't have a base to go on from, we have a lot of coordination issues from that. Yeah, I'm seeing that Maxime is saying, even with a strategy, some work is always duplicated. Yeah, totally. And this is the important part about having a strategy, a specific, very created strategy for everyone to access, to know where everything is, to be able to at least prevent that as much as possible. I know you can prevent everything to happen, but yeah, what happens when the standards or content is old, so it does not meet the project requirements? Yeah, recreated, never visited again. We've seen this a lot of times. Even when we receive sample projects, we see that the sample projects are all different between one another. So yeah, this is a very difficult thing to follow too, because when you are starting a project from scratch, you don't know where to start with, and you have to sit down and create a strategy for this project, and you're wasting a lot of time doing that. Totally. So we have seen the cost of chaos, what happens. What is the next step? Okay, we're going to channel our inner Marie Kondo, and we're going to identify what adds value, what doesn't, and create a system that sparks efficiency. So
just a quick one, Paula. I'm pretty sure most people would know who Marie Kondo is, but can you just mention who she is for people who might not be familiar with her?
Yeah. So Marie Kondo, you can see her on Netflix. I think that her show is there yet, but she has a show where she organizes a lot of people's houses, mostly like wardrobes, and she enters houses that are a mess and had a lot of disorganization, and tells them and teach them how to organize things. And especially, and this is what I like the most, and I think this can be applied to everything, and that's why I like the analogy. She teaches how to know when an element, let's say a piece of content, is really, she says, sparks joy. So when the element, in her case, is mostly a piece of clothing, for example, but I don't know what to do with this. I don't know if throw it out or keep it, because maybe sometime I will use it. You know that that thinking. But the idea is that she tells, okay, you have to grab that piece of clothes and think about, does this bring me joy? And if it doesn't, and if you don't, if you're not using it for a while, you are probably going to let it go. So donate them. If it's broken, throw it out. But it's like a system to know which things to keep. And she's very like a minimalist, so she keeps very like a little part of everything. But I really liked the analogy of Marie Kondo because I think this can be applied to content in our BIM world. So yeah, everything that we can do and what I did with our toys when we were little, we can do now with content, because if we know where everything is, if we know where to look for specific things, we're not wasting time looking for it. I don't know if it happens to you, but a lot of times you want to, I don't know, you have to go to an event and you don't know where any of your clothes are. But if you have a specific system and you know that formal clothes are somewhere in your wardrobe, you're probably going to go there and search for it and not waste time.
I was going to say that probably if you have families, manufacturer families from BIM object, it probably don't spark a lot of joy and you'd be tempted to throw them away, right?
I like that. Yeah, especially manufacturer families don't sparkle joy for me. I don't know you guys, but yeah, this is basically the why of Marie Kondo. Thank you, Nico, for clarifying that. So we have seen the chaos and the cost of having or not having a strategy. So let's go from chaos to clarity. So how do we manage all of these things? And here, my little spoiler is that I'm going to show you a generic way of doing this, of course, and I'm going to show you examples of how we do it here at Slantis, but this can be applied to anything. So the idea is to have a strategy. Then the way you do it can be a lot of different things. So this is the life cycle of content. We have first creation, so developing new content. Then we have maintenance, keep content current, distribution, making content accessible for everyone, and management, because someone has to be on top of that. Like the life cycle is great, but we do have to have a strategy and people that is accountable of each one of these parts, especially the management part, because the other parts can keep on going if we have a specific strategy to go on. So the first one is creation. So these are a few key things we have to take into account when the creation part starts. And this is, first of all, start with intention. So every piece of content should have a clear purpose. And with the analogy of the wardrobe and the clothes, I think this is very clear. Like, do not have things that you are not going to use in a while, or you have never used, but maybe you have there because of maybe sometime you will use it. Content is the same. Like the piece of content you have should have a purpose, should have a useful end to it. So yeah. Quality over quantity. So I think one well-made family is better than 5 inconsistent ones. So if we have a lot of badly made families, a lot of families, as Nico said, with the from the manufacturer, and had a lot of parameters and no one ever checked for it. So yeah, quality over quantity, I think it applies to a lot of things. Standards are your friends, so using templates, consistent naming conventions, correct categories of the families prevents errors downstream. This I say this a lot to a lot of clients, but I know that doing all of this may take a lot of time at the beginning, but you are probably going to thank yourself afterwards, because if you do it correctly, if you assign the family to the correct category, if you don't, please don't do model in place families and create a low-level family, assign the category, follow naming conventions. I assure you that you're going to thank yourself afterwards, because then the family is very easy to track and organize later. Usability matters. Think of how this content will be used in projects, so automation, schedules, tags. So when we are creating the content, it's very important to know what is it for. So if the content for what project is for, do I have to tag it? Do I have to schedule? So what are the parameters that we are going to be needing for that specific piece of content? Yeah, Nico, problem is often in the rush of a project when content is quickly created to meet deliverables and low quality. Yeah, totally. And this is a good point for this, because if you already have content created, you don't have to waste time on that, and you can meet the deliverable and not worry about having a specific content or fixing outdated
Yeah, but
content.
how do you deal it? But sometimes in a project, you need a specific family, for example, and
Yeah.
you have like a short amount of time. It's like, what is the best way to ensure you still have the quality if you're kind of time constrained and you need a rush for kind of content?
Yeah, I think that's part of the things we cannot control everything. Yeah, I think that what I would do, depending on how much time do you have, of course, but first of all, if we assure like we don't have that same family anywhere, like in our library, like we ask another teammate, like, did you already done this family? And if you have to take the time and do it, I would do it as best as possible and try to follow all of these things just for the family to be available for the rest of the team later. So
I
yeah,
know some larger teams also have kind of a dedicated family creation team,
yeah,
which smaller firms don't always have.
yeah, that would be like the ideal word. Yeah, that would be great, because these are people that have their time specifically to do this. So this would be great. I know that a lot of the times this isn't the case. So yeah, I would say do it as best as possible. And another thing is, if you are in a rush and you have to end the family, and maybe you have to do it very quick, I would maybe make sure after the delivery that that family is taken care of, pass QQC through it, review the parameters. So maybe for the delivery it's okay, and then you can take the time after to review it and then make it available for the rest of the team. Yeah, I'm seeing a comment here. Adding a shared parameter to a family on a progress project. Sometimes it's better to have a duplicate simulation project to run that family. Yeah. Yeah, I have seen that a lot of times, like having a simulation project to run that family, to not like implicate anything in the current project you have. Yeah, that is a good way to go. Yeah, you have to have the time to do it too, right? And lastly, test it. So make sure it works. And this is very hand by hand with the comment, but make sure it works in real scenarios before distributing it. So if we are having this family layer into a library, we're going to talk about that later, don't worry. Yeah, make sure it works. Krista, we don't have a BIM manager. How do people demonstrate to higher ups that content management is an investment in an overall efficiency? That time spent development content is worth and reliable. Yeah, totally. And I see your point here. Yeah, this is why we are having this session. And I know this is very difficult to assess, but yeah, I think the most strong point about this is the time you're wasting doing all of these things. So maybe try to track the time you spend creating new content, searching for content, fixing content that is wrong. So there you can go over and say, okay, this is the time we're wasting not doing projects, but taking care of all of this. Yeah. So for creation, I have a couple of examples from us. And I know if you went to Nico's session, you know that we use a lot of Notion. So these are Notion pages we have in our Atlantis Notion hub. So first of all, we have for creation a family revision checklist. These are a quick check you can do when you are creating a family. So making sure a couple of things are taken care of. So yeah, this is like how to track everything is going well with the creation of the family. Also, we have a family QAQC part. So check reference planes, views, that the naming is correct. We have a couple of add-ins here to help us do all of this. But yeah, the idea of every one of these pages is that all the team is on the same page, that the content we are creating is accurate, it's safe to use, can be distributed across projects and teams. And yeah. And here we have a page of loadable families, so family creation, visibility, nesting strategies, etc. So this is just like a quick overview, like we have a lot of standards for all the team to use and know how to start from the same base. Then we have maintenance. So maintenance is ongoing. So this is a very important part, because a lot of times I have seen that a strategy is made and it's created, but then no one takes care of it. So the thing is there, we have a detailed library, a family library, but I don't know what it is. It is stayed like that. So content isn't static, it evolves, it has different standards. It evolves with projects, like maybe someone took a piece of content and realized that it is not usable for, I don't know, the latest code update. So this is something that has to be ongoing. And someone has to take care of it also. So yeah, I'm going to show you that in a bit. Then a harvesting workflow, and this is something I really like that we do here, but this is creating a strategy to ensure all reusable content is available for everyone. So to start this, and not only to start, to maintain this, we have to make sure that if the team is creating new content, this content is going to go to the place we all know it is, so the library. Then prevent chaos before it happens, so regular updates. This prevents duplication, errors, wasted time, a lot of the things we talked about before. Keep the library clean, so remove the content that no longer adds value, or maybe you create a new one that is better, make sure that the old one is deleted, all of that. Yeah, we have a couple of things here that we do regarding maintenance. So first of all is content harvest, and this is a very easy way to not track, but for the team to know where to put the families where they created one. So yeah, spoiler alert, here we use Avail. We have a lot of different content management tools, and we're going to go through that later. You have a lot of options, but the important thing about this is that when the question arises, like, okay, I have done a new family because I need it for the project and it was nowhere to be found, so I have to do it from scratch. So where do I put it? Where is the place to go? So you would have to go into this Notion page if you have a family you want to share with the team, if you have a review detail, or maybe you have a Dynamo routine that you created for the project and you want to share because you think it would be useful for other projects. You have to go there and follow the steps to harvest this content. The GIF here is the Revit families one. So it's like a specific follow-up guide to go. So how to extract the family for the project, where do I leave it, follow a quick QAQC before uploading it into the library. And yeah, that is basically all. So the maintenance has to have a management side that we're going to see after, but the good thing about this is that the whole team is involved with the maintenance of the library. So if everyone has to be has to do a new family or a new detail sometime, so yeah, we can all contribute to this, and this is the beautiful collaborating thing about this part. Yeah, distribution. Are we okay? I am going too fast, sorry. Perfect. Distribution. So first of all, centralization is key, and this is a big part about content management. Without a single source of truth, teams waste time searching or duplicating content. So the library can be a lot of things. We're going to go through that later, but the important thing is to have a single source of truth, like a place where you leave all of the content. And the content, of course, is organized by categories, whatever you want, but it has to have a system and it has to be preferably all in the same place. A lot of times you can't do that. Maybe you have to have previous families and details somewhere, and maybe PDFs, I don't know, videos, all of that in another place. But the important thing is that to have a specific system that all the teams knows and knows where to go searching for that. Think like a librarian. So content should be easy to find with clear labels and categories. This is very similar to the other one. Not similar, but goes like in the same grade of importance. Like we will have a single source of truth and a single library, and this content should be easy to find in that library. So I should not be wasting time searching for the content in that place. Guidelines matter. So this is where I showed you before. Sharing is only effective if users know how to use content properly. And this is why it's very important to involve everyone on the team on the maintenance and also the distribution of the content, and also the creation, because when you're creating a piece of content, you should know the standards we're going to follow. Speed and efficiency. So well-distributed content reduces frustration and errors in projects. And this is a very straightforward part. This is me dropping a Slack message on the Slantis channel. As I said before, we use Avail. This is just an example of what we use. You can use a lot of things. But what I do is once every approximately 2 weeks, I send a message to the team that says, okay, we have so many Revit families, so many sets, project sets, resources and guides, Dynamo routines. Then I say as well, thank you, because a lot of the team is involved in this. Like, of course, we don't do this, one person can't do this. So this is why it's important to involve everyone. And why do I do this? Just to for the team to know that new content is being uploaded and to use the library, so they know where to go. And if they forgot, they have that resource. I make sure that it sticks. Here I have, these are some tags regarding the part of being searchable and the content to be easy to access. Management. Okay, management is the overseeing stage. Of course, this can only work if we have someone or a team involved in the management part of content. Data-driven improvement. So this is also the best case scenario, but it is good to monitor usage of the content, understand what works, what is being used. If a lot of the team is asking for the same family again and again, and the family is not yet in the library, okay, this is a flag we have to raise there. Feedback loops. We, as you may know, we have a lot of feedback workflows here at Atlantis. It's important for the team to let the management team know what is working and what doesn't. Maybe ask for, okay, I am always looking for this kind of family and it is nowhere to be found. So yeah, that is the idea of the feedback, like always to be in touch with the ones that are using the content and understand what they need. And lastly, sustainability is key. So avoid content decay, digital clutter, a lot of families that no one uses just because to have 1,000 families in the library, like is not the best way to go. So the library should remain tidy and valuable over time. Of course, this requires work, and I know we don't always have time to maintain everything like perfect and tidy and all the families are being used. But it's important to have it in mind so we can do it whenever we have some time to do it. Here, I don't know if I don't remember if any of one of the team mentioned this, but I'm going to do it again just in case. But here we have what we call atomic projects. So these are projects that are internal for Slantis. And one of them, this is basically an initiative because it's like an ongoing thing. We have a content management initiative. And this is the part about management I was mentioning before. So shout out to the team involved, Caro and Sil. But yeah, this is basically we get together every 2 weeks, and we analyze what is being asked for, what new families can we add to the library, what new sets we have, details, all of the content we have. So yeah, we have a specific time to do this every a couple of weeks. So yeah, it is important to set up the time to do this because in the voracity of projects and everyday life, you're not going to be do it if you don't have like a specific, I set up a calendar block time to do this, just so I don't forget. And from this initiative, we have 2 atomic projects that are the ones that are internal to Slantis. And we have one that are architectural details harvesting and families harvesting. We have more because we have some PDF sets and one, but yeah, the idea of this is that maybe you are between projects or you have some free time. So the idea is to go over every piece of content we have, not every because it's a lot, you can imagine, but as much as possible, and make it available for the rest of the team. So we have that for details and we have that for families. A lot of times it happens that the team reach out to me and say, okay, I have done a lot of families for this, I don't know, I needed a lot of families, so I have done that from scratch. So I want to share it with the rest of the team. So we have this atomic to do that. This was a lot of information. Maybe, I know. And okay, I talked about sparking joy, but no one knows how to spark joy like digital helpers. So we're going to go over those like tools. We're in the BIM world. So of course we have digital helpers to make our lives easier with all of this. Nico, I don't know if we want to go over some questions. No, before I jump out to this.
Yeah, there's like a couple of questions I track.
Okay.
Tyler asked, do you tag by the project that the content was sourced from? So in the sense, let's say that you created a piece of content for one specific project, and if you add it to the main library, would you say, oh, it originally came from this project, or it's not necessarily relevant information for you?
Yeah, I would mostly like said like the type of project, maybe not the specific project, but the type of project. If this is, I don't know, a multifamily project or a healthcare, families or an educational one, families are different. So probably the important information is not so much the project, but the type of project.
The type of project more than the specific one. Yeah, if there's something I can add also, if P rows does it automatically for detailings. So you can, if you're using the same details with small differences in multiple projects, you can know, okay, this one is being used in this project. and it does it automatically. You don't have to manually tag it. That's Piros, though. It's only for Revit details,
Yeah,
for now at least.
for
But
now, yeah.
the other content management tool for Revit, I don't think that's an automatic feature. We had a comment. Guardian is really helpful too for cleaning up families and mapping shared parameters.
Yeah.
To
Guardian
your
is like
company's shared
your
parameters.
BIM manager best friend.
Yeah. Yeah, we had many sessions on
Yeah.
BIM Pure Live on YouTube about it if you want to learn more. Herman is asking, is there a live sample of the content library in action so it's easier to visualize? Are we going to show like your setup
Yeah,
afterwards? Yeah,
we're
okay.
going to
We're getting
show our
there.
setup. I don't want like to set you guys on a specific tool because of course we
Hmm.
use a specific tool, but you can use a lot of them. So the important thing is to have a strategy and then you can choose whatever tool
Yeah,
you
we can
like.
talk about it. I've tested them all, so I can
Yeah.
share my thoughts about it as well. And Nadia is asking, it's not good having 1,000 families in the library, and 1,000 is nothing if you are an MEP business.
Yeah, it does. Okay. Yeah, I said a number just to say a number. Of course, it depends on the size of the company and how many projects you have. We do have more than 1,000 too because we work on a lot of different markets. But maybe if you're a small studio working on a specific kind of project, you don't need so many families. But yeah, this is always applies to specific cases and companies and what are you working on.
Yeah, let's see. Derek is asking what was the name of the product managed detail. So it's Piros, Pirros.
Yeah,
It's funny.
that's hard to say.
I was talking with the owner of the company, and I was like, "Is that a Greek name?" Like, apparently it means like content in Finnish, like why Finnish? I don't
Oh,
know, but it's that's where the name
that is
come from.
fun.
So Piros. Yeah, people are talking about it. Do you have resources for best practices on how to organize my library? I guess it depends on what tool you're using. So
Yeah,
we're getting there, right?
totally. Yeah,
Okay,
totally.
all right. I'll keep let you go then. And meanwhile, if other people have questions, I'll keep track and ask later on.
Awesome. So let's go on. So we are talking about digital helpers, so we are going to talk about tools. Um, I think these are the most important pillars, three pillars of content management. We already talked about collaboration along of all of this talk. We also talked about consistency, standards, doing going from the same base. And now we are going to focus on the single source of truth part. And the single source of truth will be a library. The library can be a lot of things. I will not say anything because it can be anything, but it can be a lot of things. And here is my analogy of the wardrobe again. But yeah, a library for me is like a wardrobe. Like if you know where everything is and you have it organized and you don't have everything all is in every place and you don't declutter what you don't use, it's very hard to find anything. So the library will work the same. These are some of the things we can use for content management. There are a lot more. You can mention in the comments if you can think of more. The yellow ones are specific for content management, and those are the ones we're going to tackle today. But then you can have your content on ACC, on OneDrive, on Dropbox, on Google Drive, on your desktop. Probably not, at least you're working on your own, but yeah, you can have the content in a lot of places. The important thing is to have a library and a place for the team to go and access if they need anything. So this is another question for you guys. Do you use any tools or platforms to manage content? Have you heard of this? I do have some RFA files on my desktop too, Nico. Okay, Alphavale, Unify. Yeah, Content Catalog used to be Unify. Yeah, Content Catalog is a very popular one. our company server. If there is a place, it's okay. It can be the company server. Local server, yeah. Oh, okay. Piros, Alana says, Piros and I organize the families for my firm by myself. Okay, perfect. Do you make it available for the rest of the team too? A library in a model, okay. Content catalog, but I don't know if it has enough efficiency. Okay. We're going to go over these tools, but know that we have a couple of sessions that are specific to each one of these platforms on BIM Pure, so you can go over there and check that out.
Paula, someone asked sorry to interrupt, in the previous slide, there were colored arrows. Can you explain what the color meant?
Yeah, sorry, I go again with that. So these are a lot of platforms we can use for content management. The yellow ones are platforms that are specifically for content management, that are created for content management. The other ones are like servers or created for storage, a lot of things, but not specific AAC content. So this is the difference. And just for you guys to know which ones we're going to go over.
And people are also mentioning in the chat, like using what I call container files in Revit.
Yeah.
So like a big model with all the families displayed so people can see. Curious to see, to know what you think about that. Is that the practice you recommend, or you prefer to put everything in a veil?
I have seen a lot of times the content file with all of the families. I think that can work well. The bad thing about that is that you cannot see the families very easily, like you have to search for them. But yeah, if you have a system and you can go over that and search. Yeah, I think the important part is to have a strategy. Then we can improve it or maybe do it more specifically. But yeah, I have seen the content file container a lot of times too. Okay. De nada, Hernán. So Alana said, yeah, okay, because I asked her if the families are shared with the rest of the team. So she says all the families are organized by CSI. I love that. This is next level of organization in a shopping center. So employees can look for families in 3D or they can go find the individual files. That is awesome. How are you using ACC for content management? Right now in ACC, we have content catalog, so we will probably use that. But I meant, for example, having a folder in ACC like you have in Google Drive and storage your families and content there. Sophie says, I met 3D view and families are separated by level, named by family type. Okay. This is, as we said before, this is like a very consumer taste kind of thing, because you know what works for your team. So if this is by project, by type of project, by we can organize things by a lot of different subjects. Here, for example, we use a lot of families and a lot of different projects. So first of all, we have them organized by Revit category, and this is my first kind of filter there. So you will probably know which kind of category you need, so you would probably go there first. Okay, so I saw content catalog, Piros, using a Revit container, avail to the company server. Perfect. So let's talk about kinship. I think no one mentioned kinship. Nico mentioned kinship, but I think no one mentioned kinship. Yeah, these are a couple of snips of how kinship looks like and a few specific parts of it. So kinship has an integrated search with Revit, so you can search for content directly within the Revit environment. Kinship is specifically for Revit content, so it stores Revit families, details, schedules, views, but all regarding Revit. We also have advanced filtering, so it enables users to specify parameters, project types, other criteria to refine search results. The thumbnails, I think the thumbnails may seem not important, but they are to me, because you can easily find content without going to having to go into the content to see what it looks like. So thumbnails are a big part. In these kinds of content platforms, they all have it, because it's a big part of having a content platform to see it all in nice little thumbnails. So yeah. Then Kinship has a library that stores standard content, and this library can be organized into lists. But they also have collections, for example, that are groups that you can make for a specific project team or for yourself. It's like more like a user management. It also analyzes how content is being used inside projects, so you can see which kinds of families or details are used in a project. And we have role-based access. That means team members have appropriate access to content and project information. This is very important for content platform management too. We have access, different kinds of access, and that allows us to control what is being bring into the platform. Then we have Avail. This is a quick snip of our channels in Avail. Thank you, Leah, for the snip. Yeah, we have a lot of things in Avail, and the good thing about this is that, and I think the great advantage of Avail is that it can storage a lot of different types of content. So for example, here we have resources and guides, we have Dynamo routines, we have client standards, because a lot of times we work with the same client a lot of times, so we have the standards there. PDF review sets, PDF close project sets, Revit details, and we also have a Revit families that is not there, but yeah. So as I said before, Avail supports a wide range of files beyond Revit. I really like the interface, because you can have that channel cards I showed you before, and inside of that you can organize everything into key cards. The visual interface is really good too. It has thumbnails. It is really good too in Kinship and in Pyrrhos and in Content Catalog as well. So the thumbnails are a big part of that, as I said before. It uses metadata, so automatically extract parameters and present them as tags and filters. This is a thing that Avail does automatically. And what we do to manage those things regarding the question we had before is that we have all of our content in folders in Google Drive. This content is separated by type of content first, so Revit families, Revit details, PDF sets, everything you saw before. And then, for example, if we go to Revit families, we would have it separated by Revit categories. And then what Avail does is that it lets you tag the folders the content is in. So when you are indexing content, it asks you like, okay, do you want to tag this content according to the folders they are into? And I say always okay, because my folders are organized because of that. So yeah, it is easy to find if you go to Google Drive and search for it, and it's easy to find in Avail too. So yeah. Project Navigator, I do not use this so much, but Avail has like a project browser by itself, so you can like search things easily on Revit if you do not want to use the native project browser. It also have a harvest mode, so it can extract individual Revit elements such as family, detail views, whatever, from container files. So if you have a project and you want to extract a specific family, you can do that. And it also has Avail Stream, and Avail Stream is a part of Avail that lets you automate the tagging, indexing of content. So for example, if you have a folder in Google Drive and you index more content, like more Revit families to that specific folder, Avail is with this stream feature, it is able to track what is being updated on this folder and updating in a bay. So yeah, my suggestion, if you want to go deeper in this, because of course we have a little time to talk about a lot of things in this session, is that you see the Randall's talks with Nico that they are in BIM Pure. So
I didn't remember I had 2 sessions with Randall's.
yeah, you
go.
had 2. The green one is older, but yeah, you have 2 sessions with Randall, so you can check on them.
Maybe something I can add about so far we saw kinship and Avail. I would say both of these are very good picks. I think with Avail, something that some users enjoy, that it's not only in the cloud. As you mentioned, you can link to your Google Drive or to your local network, and the content from Google Drive local is kind of organized in the Avail UI. You can still load it in RFS and so on. While kinship, everything is on the cloud, right? You cannot like use files on your network. You can harvest them, but afterwards they're on the cloud. So I know some users kind of worried about privacy or security on sensitive projects or content, like might prefer Avail for it. In terms of pricing, is that a slide that's coming up? People have been asking for it.
Yeah, don't worry. I have a slide at the end of the tools part that is comparing the 4 platforms we're talking today. So yeah, we can go through that in a bit.
Let's go.
Then we have Pyros. We talked about Pyros a bit. For now, Pyros is a detail-centric platform, so it only manages Revit details. Sorry. But we know he is working on adding Revit families too, so this is something that is going to be happening soon. But right now, it's a detail-centric platform. It does have a Revit integration too, so it's like a plugin for Revit. It is, I think, the most smart search. I did a conjunction of words. Smart search I have seen regarding these platforms. It uses AI to read the information on details, so they are really easy to find, and you can track every detail that is being used and which project is it being harvested from, so you can have a lot of information regarding those. The library contains approved standard details that are shared across the company, but you also have project details that this allows you to access to project-specific details that are not yet approved, and you can promote them to be on the library for everyone to use. It also automatically tracks versions and updates of details, and it has stashes that are collections of details across teams of projects. This is similar to what we have with other tools. And this is what I said before, but uses analytics, so you can track how often each detail is used. So Nico also have a talk with Peter from Pyros and Sander regarding that, so I encourage you to go see it if you are interested. It has a lot of more detailed information regarding the tool, so if any of this caught your attention, you can go and check this out for more information. And the last one is content catalog. This, as you may know, it comes with the construction cloud ecosystem. So if you have that access, you are going to have access to content catalog. So it's a free tool if you have this platform already. So ACC. It hosts Revit families, details, views, also AutoCAD blocks, IFC files, PDFs, images, so a lot of things. It also has a plugin for Revit. This is common to every one of these tools. It automatically reads Revit family metadata, so it allows custom tags, categories, filters. You can also set permissions to see which one is approving the content. You can promote some content to be added to content catalog, and a specific type of access lets you pass it through or not. And also we have a version management, so automatic version tracking and history across all content types. And we also have a session with Rolly regarding content catalog. So this is a very good one too. I encourage you guys to go check it out. And this is the promised table we mentioned before. So this is a small comparison for the tools. The important part about this is I think it's not specifically the tool you're using, because you're going to use the tool that works best for your company. But yeah, I think the important part is to have a strategy. If you are not using this and you are using Google Drive and a specific folder organization to do that, that is perfect too. So we have the pricing for each one of them. These Piros usually does like a custom price, so you have to have a talk with them, and they are depending on what you need. I understand the pricing is, I think it's around $30, something like that, per user per month. But yeah, make sure if you're interested, talk with him and yeah, make sure, because I know this is custom. So $20 approximately for a veil, and 10 if you're a only user, and 14 for enterprise, I think, for kinship. And content catalog, sorry, comes with the Construction Cloud Autodesk Docs subscription. This is a little list of what each one of these supports. So Avail, I think, has the most wide range of types of files, so everything like that. Piros is specifically for now for details. Kinship is specifically for Revit content, and Autodesk Construction Cloud has a couple more like PDFs and AutoCAD thing. All of them have Revit integration, so a plugin for Revit. All of them support cloud hosting. The good thing about Avail, as Nico said before, is that you can have it on your Google Drive server. And automation, they have different systems for automation, each one of them. So yeah, okay.
Can I share?
Yeah.
Can I share my a few extra thoughts? So some people might not know that content catalog used to be called Unify. It was acquired by Autodesk a couple of years ago, and so they renamed it to content catalog. And so the general word on the street is that it's not as good as Unify used to be. It still has bugs. I've been implementing it with a few clients. It's working well overall. It kind of does what you expected, but there are some strange bugs, especially with login. Sometimes you have the infinite wheel that scrolls and like what's going on. So you have to clear the cookies on your browser, log in again, but then you have to log in again on all the sites, and it's kind of annoying. So they have lots of bugs. For sure, I'm comfortable saying Kinship and Avail are better than Content Catalog currently is. Maybe Autodesk keeps working on it and improve it, and it gets better. But right now, it wouldn't be my first pick. But it's no extra charge if you already have Docs, right? So it's still the pick of most of my customers. But if you have a bit of a budget, I would consider a Kinship or Avail. Avail has a bit more features, a bit more complex. You can include more files beyond just Revit stuff. While Kinship is a bit more narrow, it's strictly on the cloud, really made specifically for Revit, a bit more minimalistic, I would say. All right, these are my thoughts. And Piros, it's kind of another thing right now. It's mostly for details.
Totally.
I see it as a kind of a parallel tool you can explore if you want to play with details. All right.
Totally agree. I think content catalog is still a good option if you already have the access to Autodesk Docs and you don't want to waste money of a content management platform. But I agree that Kinship or Avail are better options. We do not have bugs with that, so I'm going to share again. So you are going to be wondering, maybe, where do you begin? with all of this because there was a lot of information. So this is also a question like for you guys, if someone new joined your team tomorrow, how easily they could find and trust your content. So is this a thing right now? I know for a lot of you it is, but maybe it isn't. So it's a good thing to start working on. So first of all, start where you are. So before creating new systems, assessing new tools, let's understand the reality that we are today. So where does your content live? Who has access to the content? How is the content created or approved? Are there naming conventions, standards that you are using? Do people frequently find what they need, or they are asking a lot of times that I don't know where this is? The goal here isn't to judge, but to understand what works and what doesn't. And this is very specific for each company. So if I had to ask you guys, if you think of a recent project, can you think of content that slowed you down? Like, where did content slow you down? Maybe you had to create a lot of new families. Maybe you had a lot of questions. You had a lot of issues with content that was already there. Maybe you had to create standards from scratch because you didn't know where to start, not having what we needed. The size of them. Okay, yeah, this is a very common issue too, like the size of content and how much it weighs on a model. Finding the specific family at a specific moment at a time when it's needed. Yes, I understand that. Yeah, I think that if you have everything organized, it would take you hopefully less time to find it. But yeah, you always have to spend a little time searching for it. Hopefully a few minutes to make it better. Letting feature families for interior design are not good. Okay, so you have to redo the families all the time. Maybe when you redo them and they're good to go, you can share it with the rest of the team. Fixing bad content users downloaded online. Okay, yeah, this is a big one too. A lot of times, a lot of the content that is in a project is downloaded from the internet, and that means a lot of parameters that are manufactured parameters, families that weigh a lot, that are very difficult to use and track. Yeah. Family parameters used when you needed shared parameters. Yes, that happens too. So this would be like families well done or badly done. Using 3D CAD for family. Or no, Maxime, I don't like that. Using 3D CAD for families. I have seen that, but oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, it makes everything slow. That is right. So knowing this, prioritize by impact. So once you see the full picture, focus on the areas that create most friction or waste the most time in your case. So in accessible content, we saw all of that here. Inconsistent families, duplicated content across projects, downloaded from untrusted sources. You mentioned all of this. Manual work that can be automated. So start small, where the return of effort is the highest. So the team is going to see with good eyes if you tackle a pain that is recurring on the project. And lastly, assess tools. So once you understand your pain points, evaluate which tools can actually solve them. So having all of this in mind, we can evaluate what already exists, identify gaps, consider scalability for assessing a tool, ease of adoption, of course, monetary subjects, automation opportunities, governance and control. And please remember, a tool should make your lives easier and not add new problems to it. So yeah. For this, I encourage you guys, if you've seen Pia's session, she tackles a lot of how to evaluate, how to use. In her case, were a lot of add-ins, but this applies to all of tools. So project requirements, budget, team skills, software interoperability, UX/UI, scalability, collaboration, technical support, trial and testing, evaluations, and references. You can go back to her session. She goes deeper into this, but this is a very good way to know which tool do we need and when. Recap. I think we're on 15. We're okay. This is my last question for you guys. And regarding all of the things we have been seeing today, what is one thing you could start doing next week to move closer to having a true content management strategy? So one thing on your mind that you can start doing? I said next week, maybe tomorrow. Nico, I think they're asking for more MIP families. So, for example, I would say the first step would be start what you are. So, yeah, the budget, as Maxim is saying, ask if I have a budget for this to help me choose the right tool. Yes, perfect. And to choose the right tool, you have to understand where you're at. So how is your team working with content right now? Do you have a lot of content that is nowhere to be found? Maybe you do know where the content is, but it's too much content and it is not easy to access. So yeah, the important part about today is to start, and doesn't matter where you are right now. Set up a new schedule. Okay, I like that. Okay, so keys for success. Start with clarity, not perfection. So the important thing is starting, not that everything is perfect, but to start thinking about the strategy. Design for findability. So yes, the families, the content should be not only good content, safe content to use, but easy to find and user-friendly. Prioritize impact and not volume. So the most important content that you're going to use is where you should start. Empower collaboration. So what I said about maintenance and all the team is involved into content management, this is very important because we only are able to do this if all the team is involved. Embrace maintenance as a part of the process. So don't create a strategy and then leave it there and no one else take care of that. And use tools as enablers, not replacements. So the tools should be your helpers, but you are the one that is going to create a strategy and understand what's best for your team. As always, all the sessions we have here, the important part is the team and the people and how they're using and how we can help them implementing a strategy. So yeah, there we go. That is all I had. Maybe we can start.
All right, let's go with some of the questions. So if some of you have questions, you can keep asking on the chat. Also, if you want to, since the main part of the session is finished, if you want to raise your hand, if you want to talk, I'll let you unmute yourself. Yeah, there were a couple of questions. First from Ryan. Apologies if I missed it. I had to step away a couple of times. Do any of these help with the management of keynotes and linking keynotes to written specifications? How do you deal with keynotes?
Okay, that is a good question. Mostly because we work with a lot of clients and each one of the clients has its own set of keynotes. We have keynotes on the ACC folder, like resources folder, and we access the keynotes through that. But if you are working always with the same set of keynotes, it would be a great idea to have it on your content library if it allows to have that type of files, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keynotes are always a bit messy, right?
Mm.
To use. I've heard people having problems with them on ACC as well. Do you have these kind of issues? Do you use keynotes a lot in your project?
You're asking me, Nico?
Yeah, I'm asking you if you're using
Yeah, we use
keynotes.
We use them
Yeah.
almost
Uh,
always, like we
yeah,
use
yeah.
keynotes.
That,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. And you don't, and how do you deal with consistency among all the files and deal with them?
Yeah, that is a hard one. Yeah, we try to have a specific TXT file that follows the conventions and try to replicate them to the other projects. But a lot of the time happens that the other project team is using another set of keynotes, and
Hmm.
it is very easy to lose track of that information. Yeah, that's a tricky one.
Amy is asking, where's the best place to host the Keynote file?
I would say if you're working on a project, I always have it like on the resources folder on ACC if you're working on the cloud. But yeah, always a place that everyone can access. And if you are always using the same keynotes and you have a platform that allows you to storage TXT files, for example, I would put it in there too for the rest of the team to access. It like it was a template.
Yeah. Do you use specific tool to manage a keynote? I know PyRevit as an
Yeah.
integrated keynote manager. Do you use that or something else?
I have used PyRevit. I have also used one that is called Keynote Manager. I don't know if you
Mm,
guys have
yeah, I've
heard
heard
of
of it.
it.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. The PyRevit one is very good. I think it's very easy to use.
Yeah, people are still talking about the keynotes. Yeah, we had another question earlier on from
Maybe
Maxim.
we
What do
need
you
a
think?
keynote session.
Yeah, keynotes. Yeah, that honestly, that would be a good session. Like just how to deal with notes generally. Keynotes can be a solution. There are other ways as
Yeah.
well. Exploring all of them. Yeah, that's a good one. Maxim is asking, what do you think about having a company add-in created with ChatGPT that provides the families modelers need by discipline?
Wow, that would be an awesome idea. If you do it, please let me know. Yeah, we have an add-in that's created. Not it's not for content management, but is we have an in-house add-in. So yeah, we like to do that stuff too. So if you create one for content management, let me know. I would like to see that.
I've explored creation of tool a lot with AI this year, like so-called vibe coding. It's good for prototypes, but like if you want an actual kind of C# Revit add-in, you probably need a dev that has some coding experience at some point. I guess you could probably make
Yeah,
it work with Dynamo. In fact, now that I think about it, for some clients in the past, we've set up a Dynamo script that would load families from a folder based on the kind of project. So you would start a project, and if you're doing a residential, load all residential families. If you're doing commercial, it would load all commercial families. But that was before we've started using Content Catalog and the other tools, which with tags you can deal with it as well this way. But probably could be done. That would be a
yeah,
fun experiment.
yeah, totally.
Uh, yeah, Drayton is asking, where can I find out more about keynotes for this application? Do I have good? I don't have a good keynotes tutorial, I think. I've talked about it in the managed course on the membership, but I don't go that deep into all these issues of the cloud versus local versus Excel and so on. All right, more questions?
Any other question? Yeah, I think a keynote session would be
All right,
useful.
I'll think of it. Yeah, that would be a really good one for the winter schedule that I'm starting to create right now. From Jonathan, do you have any suggestions on how to manage content for projects with multiple models within the same project?
No, that's okay, Ryan. Jonathan, so it would be the same project but multiple models. Maybe you could have, depending on the tool you're using, or if you're using a content management tool, or maybe folders. But if you were to use a content management tool, I can imagine that you have, I think there are collections for kinship, or maybe a specific channel for this project if you're using specific families for those and give access to the team that is working on the project. This is available for a lot of this content management, like to have a specific channel for a group of people that are using the same types of families all over again. So, yeah.
From Alana, is it common practice to have multiple digital helpers in a single company?
I would say if you have, for example, bureaus that is for details, and maybe you use kinship or avail for Revit families. But yeah, I think I have seen that not a lot of times, because mostly if you have a content management tool that allows details and families, you wouldn't have another one for details. But Piros is very good with details, and has very smart searching tools. So yeah, I would say it's not that common, but it happens sometimes. I don't know, Nico, what you have seen.
I don't know if I've heard the specific term digital helpers
I used
described.
it on the presentation.
Maybe, yeah, maybe it's a slanted
Alana was
thing.
paying attention to the
Hmm.
presentation.
Then, yeah, yeah, maybe it's a slanted thing to call them digital helper. I like it though. Question from Brendan. What are your thoughts on family container models? Useful or not worth the time? Maybe I can share my thoughts. Like whenever I work on a family collection, I always use a container file so I can see them in the project environment because it's always different from the family editor inside the project, and I can see all pieces in the collection. And even I'm thinking for clients where we've implemented content catalog, we'll still use a container file and then we'll upload
Yeah,
everything to content catalog because just so users don't have to open that file every time. But the team, the team that works on the family will still keep that container file just to see all the families together in the same file. So it's like to me, it's not either container file or an app. It can be
it can
both
be
at the same
both.
time. Yeah, you just have to be careful about keeping a single source of truth, though, right?
Yeah.
So if you update something on the container file, make sure you all also update on content catalog so you don't have a situation where some families are up to date and other are outdated based on the platform.
Oh,
Yeah, Isham is asking, would much appreciate having a session in the future on the model splitting approach for large project and what's the best practice for this? Could be another good one. Ryan is asking, is this container file the same as I've seen described as showcase file? Yeah, I've seen showroom projects, showcase files. Any other name, Paula, that you've came across?
um, yeah, I would say I would have container file or Revit container or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, people are calling them
showcase file.
silos. Alana called them
Shopping
shopping.
center. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I remember I had this live session with about content catalog, and the speaker called them the Home Depot file, like the hardware store, because it's like if you go shopping at the hardware store.
I really like that. Family depot. Okay.
And yeah, and I pretty much remember it still uses them, like the Home Depot file and content catalog at the same time. So it can be part of this same approach to manage content. Yeah, some people create RT file. All right. Any more questions? Meanwhile, and Paula, you'll return for the final session of
The
the journey
final one.
along
Yeah.
with
With Pia
Pia,
that
that's
is
right there,
there. Hi, Pia.
about detailing, right? So that should be
Yes,
a fun one.
that will be fun.
Yep.
Yeah,
And and
I
next
have
week's session is going to be
I have
um
that here.
oh really? You have the slide deck? Oh yeah, okay.
So you unblocked the next episode that is with Nico. So he's going to go over filters and faces, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this will be a bit more technical sessions. We'll go deep into Revit. This will be mostly live demos. This one, it will be about mastering graphics, filter and phases. And then the one after that, then we're taking 2 weeks break. And the one after that, we're talk about schedules.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Maybe a final question from
Yeah,
Simi.
sure.
When using a classification system, for example, Uniclass, do you embed the code in the family name
Mm.
or organize families in that way? Do you store it in a family parameter?
That is a very good question. We have done it, all of these options you mentioned. So a lot of times we use the classification into the family. And other times it has like it doesn't affect like the naming convention, but it has a specific parameter that goes into the classification. Um, yeah, I don't know you guys if you have worked with anything
Uh,
like that.
how do you call families name? Like, do you have specific ways you like to call like families in Revit? Like, personally,
Yeah,
I like to have a prefix for a company name. Like, and to me, it's a way just to distinguish your own families for random families in the project, then a prefix for category, and then I try to go description and not so the family name is not too long. How do you typically organize it?
yeah, like that. Like sometimes it's family, it's a company name, but it depends on the client. Like sometimes they like it, and sometimes it's just like the category. We have like a code for each one of the Revit categories. So, for example, casework would be CA, and then underscore and the family description, like which type of casework it is. Uh, each between like the family name and maybe it has something specific like 2 drawers, 3 drawers. It will have another underscore and a specific part about that family.
Yes, Ryan says in the comments we need a specific session only for naming convention. I agree. I
I
made a
like
lot of
that.
research, in fact, for clients. I was like people are like, is it all in caps? Is it a sentence case? Is it title case? So I was researching like the best practices, also from uh, like a readability point of view. Like what
Yeah,
is the easiest to read? And anyway, yeah. So like that's
it
kind
is
of
a
a
big
rabbit hole.
topic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
and we
won't
have
get
seen
too
it
deep.
all because each one of
Mhm.
the clients has
Exactly.
it a
Yeah.
specific kind of way. So yeah,
And then there's
I
like
like
the
that.
ISO standards, but like you end up with family name that are long like that. So I don't necessarily recommend these. All right, I think that's gonna be it for today. Let me just stop the recording.